mood, baby.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we been.
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here, yeah, we in here.
Black versus the Board of Education.
'Cause we came here, creating us now. We in here, yeah, we in here. 'Cause we came here, creating us now. And you know that we will, and we go, because we been here.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
One time for the one time. It is Black versus the Board of Education. My name is Miss Florine, and we welcome you into this space. Y'all, we got a good one today. D2 Dust Up. We have our special guest running for District 2. Miss Veronica is in the building. Yeah, you can give it on up for her. This is the kickoff to our civic engagement series where we're kind of rubbing elbows with folks that are running to lead us in certain areas of the city. And hopefully we'll be able to incorporate some of the folks running down in LA because I know Melissa would love to talk to them. So as we get started, as always, we kick it to our co-hosts to let them introduce themselves. And I don't see them on the screen yet because they ain't here. And we're going to wait for them to pop up because, oh, there they go. Hey. We're going to go ahead and start with Miss Anaya. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our candidate and to our audience, and let's get the party started.
Okay, hi everyone, my name is Anaya, and I'm currently a freshman attending Howard University.
Fantastic. We're going to bring it back to the studio. We're going to go ahead and let our newbie introduce himself. Go ahead and say what's up.
What's going on? My name is Dominic Milan. I go by Dom.
Oh, that's very nice.
It is.
Okay. Okay, and Adrian.
Hello, my name is Adrian, and it's a great Monday because the Niners are going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, Lord.
My horns.
Why you hit him with the crickets, though? That ain't right. But congratulations to your Niners. I know that if Jalen was on here, he'd be hating because he's very disappointed that his Lions didn't advance. But, you know, we'll send him some love, too, because he left us and went on to San Francisco. Oh, he went to San Francisco. I wonder how he's feeling today. Oh, Lord. Melissa, hey.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa, and I am a senior in Southern California.
Did you get any more acceptance letters that we need to know about?
I actually did. Hampton emailed me right before we went on. I got into Hampton.
Hashtag HBCUs.
All right, so that's Spelman, that's Sac State, that's Hampton, that's USC. And did I miss any?
That I think I have like 5.
Okay, I got 4, but okay, we'll figure out what it is. Miss Lisa said, "Let's go, Melissa. Let's go.
Thank you.
Sending love as always. But we're gonna get right to it because we have our special guest, and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself before we start throwing questions at you because it's just customary here. So why don't you go ahead and let them know who you are and what we're talking about today.
Yes, I am Veronica Smith.
You're gonna have to get in the microphone, my love.
I am Veronica Smith, and I am running for Sacramento City Council District 2. And thank you all for having me on today.
We are so excited to have you here. You know, I've been talking mess about District 2, and not the district itself, but the previous representative, because I wasn't too happy with him after he kind of gaslit the youth in the city council meeting. But we're interested to know, like, there's a lot of candidates popping up in District 2. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to start first, and then I'm going to kick it to my co-host. What distinguishes you from the field, if you will?
Okay, so in a field of, what do we have, 9 candidates?
I think so.
What distinguishes me from, and I have to separate Roger Dickinson from
everybody else?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, speak candidly. Like, we won't go jump on anything. But
yeah. So, you know, Roger Dickinson is a career politician. Mm-hmm. He's been around for a long time. He is the familiar name to many. And then there's the rest. So the rest of the candidates, you know, they're from the community. They've served in different capacities in the community, all doing great work, love their community. But I think that what really sets me apart is my knowledge of policy, mm-hmm. my understanding of the distinction between city manager versus mayor versus council, and the inner workings of City Hall and how things get advanced at the community level. So I think that's what sets me apart from all of those running, just because of my experience both at the city level, the county level, public, private, nonprofit.
Gotcha. Melissa.
Hi, nice to meet you. Since we don't know too much about you, I want to know what inspired you to run.
A combination of things inspired me. I always said I would never jump into the political arena because it's nasty, as you all are seeing. It's, a lot of things get thrown at you when you decide to jump into a race. So I've always been, the person behind the scenes, helping to advance things in community. But what really inspired me was what happened with this seat was after the first candidate forum, I had people from the community coming to me and asking me if I would consider running for the District 2 seat, just because they've been, familiar with me, familiar with my work in the community, and quite frankly, people just were not comfortable with what they were seeing as their potential representation.
Okay. Adrian.
So this is kind of a two-part question. How long have you lived in District 2?
I've lived in District 2 for roughly 3 months.
Okay.
However, I've worked in the community for over a decade.
Okay. So have you seen any challenges in those 3 months that District 2 is facing, or are you still trying to learn about them?
No, I'm pretty familiar with the challenges. So I had the opportunity to work with the both of the last two council members, both Councilmember Lilloye as well as the former council member Alan Warren. So I know them both. I worked with them both. So I'm very familiar with the challenges and issues in the District 2 community in North Sacramento area.
Ms. Anaya?
So my question is, what would you like to accomplish if elected?
There are several things that I would like to accomplish.
Loaded question.
If elected. So where do I begin? Obviously, we know that homelessness is a number one issue for the state, the city, District 2. But let me just start with just at a more global level. District 2 has seen significant challenges. It is a community that has been, I'll just say, left behind for many, many years. And a lot of people don't understand the history of what happened in North Sacramento with the, North Sacramento used to be its own city. And in, I believe, 1964, it was annexed into the city of Sacramento. And that really is one of the pivotal things that began the decline of that area. So you also had the construction of the 80 freeway. Fast forward, you have the closing of McClellan Air Force Base. So there's a lot of things that have been layered on to what we see as it relates to the District 2 that we see today versus the District 2 that existed in, prior to 1960.
Sir?
I think it's just looking at what she's saying about McClellan Air Force Base. My dad was stationed on that base. So
Okay.
I think just seeing it for myself, I think that's just a real costly thing, because you have different aspects of the community that people don't really pay attention to. And I think just looking at it from that broad scale, why you say
We were trying to figure out if you got a question.
I do. I was saying because like that was something like as a kid, like being a military kid, that's like I look forward to being there with my dad. So that was just a personal thing. But my main question is like, since you're on the other side, what is the difference to you? Like, because you said you were working for the city, how does that put you in a different space of mind to put your best foot forward with your campaign and stuff like that?
just having had the opportunity to see how things get done, how to see and have the opportunity to understand policy process and how it impacts the community, both positively and negatively. And I'll give you an example. A lot of people think that decisions are made during city council meetings. And so people will come to a city council meeting, give their 2 minutes and try to advocate for things that they want to see in the community, not understanding that the process typically started months before something got to city council. So that is something that is critical. If people don't understand the process, you'll continue to get left behind. And that's what we've seen in many segments of the District 2 community, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you know, I just want to welcome everybody who's just now joining us. This is our Civic Engagement Series Kickoff. We have entitled this episode D2 Dust Up. We have City Council candidate for District 2, Veronica Smith, here with us. And, you know, as you're talking about District 2, and you talked about it being left behind. Now, for us on the south side, right? The only thing that comes to mind when I hear about District 2 is Grant High School. And then outside of Grant High School, when you're going down Del Paso, you see that there has been a lot of disinvestment in the area. But you also see that they're starting to, I don't know if they're trying to reinvest, or you have like different things, like Golden One just, you know, put up a banking center there. You have the Urban League that's there. And so I'm wondering, are you looking at other types of projects that you're interested in bringing to D2? And what do you think that would mean for the community?
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the things that we desperately need is more industry. We need more jobs. We need more opportunities. And so that is one of the things that would be a priority for me as well. Because people who live there need to have the opportunity to be employed there and open more businesses there. So that's definitely something that would be a focus for me. We know that we have a significant number of nonprofits in the district, but we need more if we're going to sustain the district, be a self-sustaining district, which is very important.
Yeah, of course. And if you are in the comments or you're watching us and you have a question for candidate Smith, please go ahead and put that in the chat and we will make sure that she gets to it. Melissa, it's on you.
So Anaya asked the question, what do you hope to accomplish? And you said you have a list of a few different things. Which one is your main priority, the thing that you think is the most important, and how do you plan to tackle that?
And I realized I didn't finish the answer to that earlier question. But I really think that the most important for District 2 is community empowerment and education, first and foremost. Because if people don't understand how things happen and why things happen, their contribution to the movement won't really move the needle. So I think it's very important that people understand what's happening behind the scenes or underneath the surface. And when there's the opportunity to fully engage, thoroughly engage the entire district, then that is where we can move on to tackle the priorities around mental health and homelessness and blight, and illegal dumping and vacant lots.
Yeah, of course. Adrian.
I'm interested in what got you into politics. Were you always interested in it as a kid, or did you just, when you got into Sacramento, you kind of flew into it?
I stumbled into it, honestly. So after working, I was working for the County of Sacramento in the Economic Development Department. And what I noticed was happening in the city, there were a lot of people who looked like me starting to be elected in the city of Sacramento. So at that time, I was looking at former Mayor Kevin Johnson, Alan Warren had just been elected. Rick Jennings had been elected. And so
there was one more out of Southland Park.
Oh, yeah. So
Larry?
Larry Carr was there. And so I was looking at a city that looked more like me versus, in the county, the representation just wasn't there. And so what attracted me to the city of Sacramento was seeing people that looked like me on the dais. Now, I still wasn't interested in being a city council person, but I just wanted to have the opportunity to work in that space under those individuals. Proximity is important to me. And so an opportunity came open for me to apply to the City of Sacramento Economic Development Department, and the rest is history. So then I started, paying attention, observing. Still didn't want to do this, but I told you, yeah.
Miss Anaya.
So you previously mentioned that you worked with two people who formerly held the office position. I just want to know, did you hold a position to be able to work with them? And then also, what was the work that you did alongside them?
Yes, so for Councilmember Alan Warren, I actually worked in the Economic Development Department, but I was assigned to District 2. So that's how I got to know Councilmember Warren, and that's where I started to have my first real exposure to what was happening in the District 2 community, and that was back in 2013. Fast forward to the most recent council person, Lowy. I actually met him when I worked with Alan Warren because he was opening up grocery stores in the District 2 community, which at the time was a food desert. And so the community was saying, they wanted a Safeway, they wanted a Rayleigh's. So going back to my point around empowerment and education, I had to educate some community leaders on how grocery stores like Safeway and Rayleigh's and Whole Foods and Trader Joe's site. Mm-hmm. They look at things such as employment or income, education. And so you don't just say, I want a Safeway or a Trader Joe's in my community and expect them to come. So I had to explain to the community that, well, we have an operator that is operating, a couple miles from Marysville Boulevard. So I reached out to him, and that's how I met former council member Lowy, AKA the owner of Viva Supermarket. Fast forward to 2020, I get a call from Councilmember Lowy, who was elected. So he defeated Alan Warren. We had a previous relationship from me helping him open up his grocery stores in a food desert. He reached out to me by recommendation of people in the community to help him stand up his office once he defeated Alan Warren. And so that's how I ended up working with the council member, Lowy, because of a previous relationship as an economic development practitioner of helping him open up a full service grocery store in a food desert in Del Paso Heights.
See here.
So are you.
And break down. That was a good question tonight. Mine is kind of simple. I think what's really been something that you've been looking forward to since you've been here and actually enjoying this ride? Because I'm interested in that.
Something that I've been looking forward to since I've been running as a candidate.
To be over.
That part. I think everything is a learning lesson. Every experience just makes you stronger, irrespective of what you go on to do, in my opinion. So it's the lesson, because throughout all of this, I'm going to take this lesson and turn it into another success.
I love that. So, I mean, I'm just going to ask you because I keep seeing stuff on social media,
Mhm.
and there are a few memes going around, and a couple of them are alluding to the fact that you don't live in District 2.
Mhm.
So would you like to clear that up for the folks who may be watching
Mhm.
and who have this question about where did you come from? Like,
Mhm.
you know, and I've seen some other stuff, but I'm gonna let you answer that one, then I'm gonna ask you my other stuff.
Mhm. Well, first and foremost, if I did not live in District 2 per the law, I would not be on the ballot,
Mm.
first and foremost. And so I'm an open book. I already knew what I was going to get hit with.
Mhm.
And so there that is there.
Mic drop.
And then I'm looking at this other one, and it basically is like I don't know if it's like a Simpson character, and the bartender is throwing out Sean Loloe, and then as they're looking out, there's you standing behind the bartender.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they're trying to say that you're a reincarnation of Loloe, or I don't know what this is trying to say. But have you seen this, and what is your response to it?
No, I haven't seen it because it's so much negativity out there, and these are distractions. You know, people are
Absolutely.
looking to distract, and it's unfortunate. I just feel bad for them because clearly, whoever is doing these memes are probably new to the district themselves, maybe new to the city themselves, and so they have no idea who I am, what my track record actually is, and why the people of District 2 who I've chosen to put on my website as my endorsers, what's most important are the people that live there that vote, that have been there. And so to me, I don't know. I don't have time for child's play. So I couldn't tell you what it's supposed to mean. But clearly, whoever did it does not know me, does not know my track record or my history in the district. And I'll pray for them.
Melissa, she said something. I saw her mouth moving.
People have too much time on their hands. That's
Exactly.
way too much time.
Do you have a question though, love? Because it's back to you.
Yeah, I do have a question. You mentioned diversity or like representation and how that kind of played a part in you getting into politics. Why overall do you think that representation in politics, but in like all spaces, is important?
Well, let me explain what I mean in this instance when I say representation. You know, you all as youth are, I'm super proud of you all. You're here, you are participating in this opportunity that you've been given. You're representing yourselves, you're representing us at a standard that makes me proud of you all. So when I say representation as it relates to this District 2 seat, which is only 16% and a quarter Black people, I'm saying representation because the way you all are representing the youth is what District 2 needs in a candidate that is just happens to be Black to represent a diverse district of people, given that the minority in a formerly predominantly Black community, that doesn't exist today. So representation is about a standard of excellence that has to be delivered first and foremost for all people.
Adrian?
So as you still trying to think of questions, sorry.
Anaya, do you have your question ready?
Yes. So I wanted to ask if there's something that the last person who held office implemented that you wanted to change or that you wanted to add on to.
Yes, there are several things that I would like to add on to. So for all of the negative that is out there about the previous person that was in this office, there are some really significant things that were started under his watch and that I assisted with that are major economic impact drivers for the district. So one of the things, and you all might have seen some things on TV last week as it relates to a film project that could potentially be sited at Cal Expo, which would be hundreds of jobs, millions of dollars in economic impact, and tons of opportunity for the youth in District 2 and people in District 2. That is one project that, whether elected or not, I'll be vested in seeing it through the finish line and doing what I can do to see that project be a success, because that is the epitome of what District 2 needs more of.
And so as you're talking about District 2, can you kind of give us an idea of what it covers? Mm-hmm. So I heard you say Cal Expo. We know about Del Paso Heights, but what the vast space that it covers?
Yes. So District 2 is actually comprised of about 21 neighborhoods. So with the redistricting process, it now, to break it down by points of interest, it begins at Arden Mall, but really Ethan to the east. And if you're leaving downtown and you get on the 160, it'll spit you out on Del Paso Boulevard, which is Wood Lake. Mm-hmm. So that would be the south. And then from going north, it would end at the 80, just after the 80 freeway.
Okay.
So if you think of a point.
So is that business 80 or interstate 80? Because we got two. So which one is it?
So that would be.
Is that North Highlands?
Interstate.
Yeah, Interstate 80. Okay. So it's adjacent to. So if you're familiar with North Highlands, so it would end at McClellan.
Okay.
And I left one side.
West.
So west would be Norwood. Because after Norwood is Northgate. So I always try to find familiar.
Okay. That's a lot of.
So 65,000 people in the district. 65,000 people in the district. So it is a pretty big area. Some of it has been because of redistricting. Some of District 2 is now in District 1, which would be, your Natomas area. So it's complex. So a lot of people don't realize, because they just hear Del Paso Heights or they hear Wood Lake. A lot of people don't even know that Cal Expo and Arden Mall are in the district.
I didn't know. That's why I asked you where it's at. For sure. So I know that there are a lot of people that want to know about you, mm-hmm. like personal. Mm-hmm. They're like, where does she come from? She's cute, but where's she been? Like, who is this person? So can you give us some kind of like your background, your familial background? Tell me something about you that people don't know, mm-hmm. or that you would like them to know, to get them to understand that you understand what's going on in their lives, in their district, mm-hmm. and how you plan to relate to that.
Okay, so my family, so I've been here since I was about 10 years old. So
and we're not gonna say how old we are.
Right.
Just know we went to high school. Right. Go ahead.
So raised in South Sac, went to Valley High School, went to Sac State.
We just gonna get them all in there.
Did my MBA at National University. So I've been around. So have family.
So you're not a stranger, basically.
No, I'm only a stranger to those who are just now paying attention.
Well, right. Uh-huh. And so, do you have like siblings? Children? Like what's up with Miss?
Yes, I'm the youngest of 3. So I have 2 older sisters who are here in Sacramento as well. I have 2 children, 1 boy, 1 girl, and a grandchild. So, yeah, I'm not as young as people think.
And I'm not as young as people think. I'm just asking a question. Oh, come on with it with your question.
So a lot of youth, especially my age.
And she don't know how old you are.
22.
Okay.
We don't know about district representatives, right?
Mhm.
Like, we don't know. I asked my friends, they didn't even know what district they're in,
Mhm.
and one of them didn't even know was split up into districts.
Mhm.
So, can you kind of explain why having a district representative is so important
Mhm.
in the community?
And just FYI, a lot of adults don't know
Yeah.
who their district representative is. And they don't know, many people don't even know that there are districts, FYI. So you're ahead of some of the curve already. But it is important to know who your district representative is, to develop a relationship with them, because that is how you get the things that you want to see in your neighborhood, in your city. So at every level, whether it's city council person, county board of supervisors, which is off a lot of people's radar, but actually more important, in my opinion, than the city council person. So if there are things that you want to see, the district representative at every level, from school board to the president to a degree, but most importantly at the local level, you want to know who that person is, how they're representing your views, and it's important to engage with them as often as you possibly can, especially if you are interested in what's happening in your community, if you're interested in moving the needle on things that are important to you.
And all politics is local. So I know she mentioned the president. All your politics that you're going to have to do, or the laws that you're going to have to abide by that affect your daily life happens at the local level. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you learned it early. Okay. All right.
My question is, when it comes to the community, and like you said that you've been here, tell us a little bit about what you've experienced growing up in the area and how that has helped you transition to where you're at now.
Mhm. So I would say that I am very familiar to a lot of the challenges and the things that people desire for themselves and their family. You know, I didn't come from money. I came from, my single mom who did her best to raise 3 girls. And so I think that one of the things that I saw growing up was that I wanted more for myself, for my children, for my grandchildren. You know, my mother did the best that she could with what she had, as did her mother and mother's mother. So for me, I was inspired by what my potential could be for my seeds. And then now it's about for generations to come, whether they're related to me or not. It's so much. Once I learned this game, once I learned how things are done and how we're impacted, whether we're participating or not, that's what really inspired me, because I didn't come from this. I wasn't in a civically engaged household. We weren't, taught that. I wasn't taught who my district representatives were. I wasn't encouraged to vote, any of that. And so that's why this work is so important to me, and that's why who is in seats should be important to us all, and having the right person in seats that understands and gets it is important to me, and I want to put that forward as best as I can.
And what she's saying is it should be important to you too. Anaya.
Okay, so going back to family, I just want to know how the family values that you have will influence your decisions on family-related issues as a city council member or as a candidate.
That's a good question.
Yes. So I think that one of the things that I would like to see more of are programs that are family, about family. You know, we see a lot of youth programs, which are great, but a lot of times there's things happening in the home with someone's mother or father, or the lack of there being a mother or a father that's impacting that youth's ability to grow. And so I've seen models of family-driven type of programs that require participation at multiple levels. And I think that there can be a lot of change made if there are more programs that are taking on entire families. Just because so much, as you all know, happens when one leaves their program and goes home. What happens inside of those doors? There's only so much that we can do to impact or disrupt. And so I think that, you know, getting back to the family structure and helping entire families is critical. And so that's something that I would be interested in helping to shape as a council member.
I like that. Actually, I love that. Because I have a question about the youth investment or lack thereof. But before I get to my question, you have one in the chat. It says, could you speak on the hardest thing you have had to persevere through, and how did you get past it?
In life, or so not just?
I think it's
just
sure. Let's do life. Is it life, Carla? Because I don't know.
The hardest thing that I've had to.
Could you please describe the hardest thing that you had to go through? Well, it's the same question. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's do two parts, right? In life, and then let's do during your campaign.
Okay. So in life, I would probably say becoming a single mother, so divorce, becoming a single mother and having to reinvent myself as I knew myself when I was married to my children's father.
Okay. You said life. We got you, bro. We got you. You said life. We got it covered. And with this campaign, the hardest thing that you had to persevere?
I think the hardest thing that I'm having to persevere through coming in so late is it's an uphill battle. And what the hardest thing I think is with 9 candidates and what 6 being African American, Black, when we don't understand how we split the vote and we end up getting the person who would have been the minority, as it relates to popularity. What we're doing right now is it's counterproductive to what we all want. And so that's the hardest thing for me right now, because when people don't get it, when people don't understand what it means to run for office, split the vote.
And put a pin in that. Do you understand what she's talking about when she says split the vote?
I do not.
Okay. So before you keep talking, because I want to make sure we all on the same page. So with 6 candidates that are Black, right? Normally people, especially the Democratic Party, depends on the Black vote. The Black vote normally is going to one particular candidate. Now with 6 Black candidates, the likelihood of the vote being split between this Black population is very high, because everybody's going to vote for whoever it was that maybe said something that they liked. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about, splitting the vote. Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So that's the hardest thing for me, is to know what is happening and know that there are people who don't understand what's happening, because for many it's a popularity contest versus a who can do the job and represent us and help us all advance our agenda contest, unfortunately. So that's the hardest thing for me, just seeing this all play out, just knowing what you know, how this has gone historically in areas such as District 2, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I looked it up while we were talking because I know I gave an example, but I want to give the definition. It says is an electoral effect in which the distribution of votes amongst multiple similar candidates reduces the chance of winning for any of the similar candidates and increases the chance of winning for a dissimilar candidate.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, that's what it says.
And typically the dissimilar candidate who is typically the career politician is banks on something like this. They understand it. And so while what we see with me, since it was brought up, so I'm gonna just respond like the way I want to respond, and so that you all can to get it, because this is, you know, it's all about educating, right? But what's even worse in this situation is to have other Black people attacking a Black candidate, especially a Black woman. So it saddens me to see Black men and Black women targeting, just being ugly and nasty for whatever reason, because that hurts us all. It makes us all look bad. And then it has, you know, people who maybe don't look like us looking at us like, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, some of those, you know, more sophisticated folks are like, well, let me just go and give this guy that doesn't look like us my vote, because this is just a mess, a hot mess.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. That's why it's important to get to know your candidate. And I just have to ask because did you declare before some of these other candidates, or did everybody come in at the same time, these different candidates, the 6 or whoever we're talking about?
The last 2 people to come into the race was yeah. So
where were you in the line?
I don't know. You know, I just know who was there, and then there was that final
like push at the end before the deadline.
Yeah, so I only know who was there before, so I don't know like what order the final 4 came in, or final 3. So.
And you guys, do you understand that when people are filing for office or their intention to run, there is a deadline that they have to do? Yeah. And so I think it's very interesting because I've seen some of the talk, right? And I'm not 100% familiar with the North area. I'm not, but I'm looking at it, and I do see some women saying certain things. It was kind of harsh. Mm-hmm. And so how is your mental when you're hearing these things about you? How is your mental state? And do you think that if it ever got to a point that it was overly affecting you, would you just pull the plug, or are you gonna keep it going till the wheels fall off?
So for me, you know, we as Black people have a lot of trauma that impacts or influences the things that we do. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, because I've gone through a lot, like mentally, I'm just not affected by a lot of things, especially things that happen on social media. Mm-hmm. Because it's like I tell my kids, stay off social media. Like, why don't even? Read the comments. Right. Why are you responding to that? Why are you? So that's where I am mentally in my headspace. It's like I'm too grown for certain things, and I depend on God too much to let certain things impact me mentally, especially things on social media.
But does it impact your children when they're reading or seeing, or your nieces and nephews? Does it impact them to see these things said about you?
It does, but I spoke to them both before I even got in this seat, and I asked them what did they think, because I was like, you know, that it gets ugly, and so if my kids had not been supportive, I wouldn't have done this. So, but you know, they're adults now, so they were like, do it.
Your boy is adult? Is an adult now?
He'll be 18 so he's graduating. So
I'm a
Yes, he's driving. He's,
I'm on pension. I didn't know he was that old. I get to see him every so often. Melissa, you have a question?
What do you think you would be doing if you were not doing politics?
Well, what I'm doing today. So this isn't, I'm not being paid to run for office. So I do have a, right. So I do have a day job. I do have I wear multiple hats. So what I will be doing, whether elected, when I'm elected, even beyond when I'm elected or not, is helping other people advance their agendas and visions in the city of Sacramento and statewide. And so one of the things that I do is advise other people on community and economic development projects or how to engage community. And so I'll be doing that, until I decide to retire again.
And you also have the Dress for Success, right? Are you still doing that?
So Dress for Success is winding down. So I did that. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. It is in a reinvention phase, and other people are coming in to take it to its next level. So, I've been doing it for 10 years. And the way that I desire to impact women and girls has shifted from when I stumbled onto that mission. So things will look different, and it'll be more everything that I do. When I wake up, I say, how can I impact people, and how many people can I impact today? And so it's an end of an era, and it's time to go into the next phase of my work and my mission around helping women and girls.
Ms. Anaya?
Okay, so I just wanted to go back to Adrian's first question about, you said you've been living in the district for 3 months. I wanted to ask, there was a certain reason you decided to move in the district, or you just happened to be here and you decided to run?
Oh, no. So one of the requirements to run for a district, at least in the city of Sacramento, you have to reside in that district. And so I had to make a sacrifice a lot of things to, once I considered taking this on. And so that's why, part of why I live in the district.
So if you weren't running, would you have moved to the district, or you would have stayed wherever you was at?
Well, interesting. Before I had been looking to buy a home in District 2 for quite some time, even before I bought the home that I own out of area. Now, the real estate market is what it is. so I probably should have sold in the summer when the market was super hot, and I could have made a lot of money. So now, in terms of buying, buying something new, selling, I don't plan to do that. And even, with adult kids and building wealth, one of the biggest ways that we build wealth is through real estate. Mm-hmm. And so while I'm looking to buy other properties, and yes, with an S, and I encourage you all to be interested in real estate and be thinking about how you can build wealth, because it's very important. But going back to the question, I've been looking for homes in the district for quite some time. And so this influenced me to make a faster move. But my vision is big, and I encourage you all to have big dreams and big vision. So that's a long answer to the question, but hopefully it answered it. So yes and yes.
Yes and yes. Adrian?
So with you running, and we've talked about how hectic it is and how it can get ugly, but luckily you have a strong mental to deal with it. How do you separate your political life from your personal life?
doing that because you got
You have to have good time management and project management, and you have to have a strong team of people around you to properly manage it. And so, carving out time for self-care is huge. Like tonight, I'm taking my son to dinner, taking a night off just to connect with him because I'm like, okay, I've been on grind mode, so let me take care of this part of my personal life. So you manage it.
What has been the most encouraging thing to you about Reddit?
Having people who weren't initially supporting me sit down with me, get to know me, and become my supporter. So unity is big for me, and I think that I always appreciate people who take the time to reach out to me to get to know me, or if they had a misunderstanding or if they heard something about me. I think one of the proudest moments or one of the things that has just been very fulfilling is having people come to me, sit down with me, and say, oh, we actually appreciate you, have the same views, we're going to support you. So that unity, I think District 2 needs more unity, as a community, comprised of so many district neighborhoods that a lot of people don't know that exist. It's like, how do we look at this as one? Everybody can win. And so having people, embrace me because they were misinformed or whatever, I think that that's been just a beautiful thing.
my other question for you, and I just want to know, and I hope I don't lose it while I'm trying to formulate it into words. As you're coming in, right, and we know about the disinvestment in certain neighborhoods. You said 21 that this district comprises, but in those 21 neighborhoods, there are some that really have not gotten any investment at all. So how prepared are you to hit the ground running and fight for those districts to finally get their just due?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it, to a large degree, comes down to being a good steward of what you are working with on behalf of the entire district. And so that is how I'm prepared, just knowing the pockets that exist within the community that people have never heard of. Like I was, walking in Parker Homes yesterday, the Parker Homes area. And so, as well as, Robla, people aren't familiar with just how severe it is in certain areas that many people who live there, they don't even know these areas exist. So a lot of people hear Del Paso Heights. Well, there's other neighborhoods within the district that if people in some of these other areas look at Del Paso Heights as the rich area because they are close to more services than other people are who are, just think about someone who's closer to McClellan. Mm-hmm. What's there? And so for the people that are living in that area of the district, they look at Del Paso Heights as, they have it all. But it's all a matter of perspective because there's always someone worse off than you are. But when we are just so ingrained and entrenched in what we see, we have no ability to see how, well, someone else might be suffering much more than you are. You're blessed compared to how some people's experience is.
And so how prepared are you to fight for those areas once you are in a position to do so? Because that's the point of having an elected representative, is that they go in and they know, okay, you've already toured during your campaign, you've already toured the areas that need the most investment. How prepared are you to get in there and start, throwing some chairs, making sure some of these people get what they need to be successful in their areas?
I would say that I'm 100% prepared because I didn't discover these areas while walking on the campaign trail. So these are things that just having been on the inside working and seeing, these are things that I was already familiar with. So I didn't just stumble upon a new neighborhood like many of the candidates aren't walking. So they don't even know what's in the district. So I would say that I'm 100% prepared because I've been seeing it and seeing that it's not been equitable within the district.
Melissa? We're winding down, so we got about 5 minutes left. If you have a question, I'm gonna call on you. You can tell me whether you do or not, and if not, we'll go ahead and pass.
I honestly don't have a question. I think I got everything answered. This was really, really interesting. Thank you.
Anaya.
So you previously mentioned that, well, I just know that running is a lot and that you said you had to make sacrifices. How has your family been there to support you, or any support system you've had? How have those people been there to support and encourage you?
I would say that I have a core team of people that check on me every day to make sure that I'm doing okay, to make sure that I'm eating, taking my vitamins. And so that circle of women, as well as my pastor, have been my core in getting me, mentally prepared every day to fight. Or no, I don't like the word fight. To champion.
Fight is okay. Fight is okay. Yeah.
So I was looking this up earlier and I kind of got confused on it. So I was asking, can you explain kind of how they're doing this election since Son Loloi's resigned? Are they doing something different to where like they're taking up his seat?
No, well,
TBD.
TBD. So they're going to see what happens with the primary. And if there's a candidate that gets 51% of the vote, 51% of the vote, then they will appoint that person. If no one gets 51% of the vote, what they're going to do is then the mayor will appoint someone. So right now, the mayor is the caretaker of the seat. And so it's contingent upon what happens in the primary, and we'll go from there.
And so with him being the caretaker of the seat, that means effectively that District 2 does not have representation right at this moment, and that they're going to wait until March 5th to figure out what's happening. And then if they don't get 51, then they're going to let y'all continue to duke it out, and then they'll just put somebody else who's not even running in there? Or how does that work?
So right now the mayor is the representative. So if you have questions.
So he has two.
Yeah.
Things that he represents.
Well, he represents the entire city. He also represents all of the areas that were redistricted. So until November 2024, all of the areas that were newly redistricted are also covered by the mayor until such time.
What areas were actually redistricted? I don't know District 2.
So redistricting is something.
It's the maps that they redraw the lines for each district that is there. So
pretty much every
not redistrict.
Yeah. I have another question too. What has been the best part about living in District 2 since you've been there?
How close I am to Art Mall. So I don't know if that's the best thing, but not to Art Mall, but like all the food right there. So just like California Pizza Kitchen, that hot something cake.
The
butter cake. Yeah.
Y'all know I got that.
So that's the good and bad. So it's too convenient to food.
I love that. Okay. Well, thank you for spending some time with us. We know it was kind of rapid fire questions at you, but we just wanted to get to know you just a little bit better. But before we get out of here, we got about 30 seconds left, so I'm gonna run through all these things that we got coming up. So February 7th, right? Is it February 7th?
Yes.
We are popping off our Young Adults Support Network. So if you are between the ages of 18 and 26, and you need just a little bit more guidance, some advice, some real down home conversations, please join me. I will feed you if you're here in the office with me. And we're just going to get down to it. And I will tell you what that looks like. I will have a whole plan laid out for you where we're going to tackle some issues, because I'm one of those adults that don't think that new adults know what's going on half the time. I think some of y'all need some tools. And so we're going to make sure you have some tools in your toolbox. And I'm going to be working with a couple of fellas around here that are over the age of 26. As we step in to support you all. Additionally, February 10th, we have the BGSN Galentine's event. So if you are a young girl, aged probably like 9 to 18, we are having our annual bash. And I think 1 year, or maybe the last, I think the first year I did it, we had a brunch. So we're going to make sure you have food, and we're going to just talk about what it means to show up in this world as a young Black girl, the importance of building relationships and empowerment. So we're going to do that. We have our annual paint and sip coming up. I don't have the date because it's not in front of me, but go ahead and check our calendar on our website. And we also have our annual open house here at the office. You can see how we've been expanding. And we can't wait to host you. So with that, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to hit your way. You say we got one more. You got your hand up.
I can put it up there.
And he's going to put it up there. Okay, so we have a list of events. There they are. The dates are on your screen. For those of you listening, because you are downloading the podcast, that's February 7th for the Young Adult Support Network, February 10th for the Galentine's Brunch, February 24th for the annual Black History Paint and Sip. Hopefully you'll slide through. And February 29th, we have our Black History Month annual open house here at BYLPHQ. So with that, home boys and girls, we're going to hit you with the peace sign. We will catch you here next week, 4:30 PST on YouTube and Facebook. We are Black versus the Board of Education. I believe we have one of the candidates for mayor sliding through. And I can't remember the exact name. Anybody got it for me? Let's see. Let me see. It's somewhere over here. Let me see. Candidate Jose Avina will be in the building. So, like I said, we're going to hit you with this peace sign. We'll see you next week.